Relative calm has returned to the Bepanda neighborhood in the Douala 5 municipality after the population took to the streets in protest against power failure in that part of the country's economic capital. And of course, they met with stiff resistance in a clash with forces of law and order. And of course, calm is yet to return to the locality of Sangmilima in the central region of the country after the killing of a young man that led to a clash between some members of that part of the central region of the Republic of Cameroon. And the President of the Republic, Paul Biya, meets in a tete-a-tete with French President Emmanuel Macron, discussing a wide range of issues, including Cameroon's contribution to the fight against malaria, AIDS and tuberculosis, and of course bilateral cooperations between Cameroon and France. Thanks, ladies and gentlemen, for joining us in this edition of the Primetime Newscast on Equinox Television. I am Bable Jonathan, and we're broadcasting from Cameroon's economic capital, Douala. Relative calm has returned to the Bepanda neighborhood in the Douala 5 municipality. Inhabitants of that part of Cameroon's economic capital took to the streets, blocking the major roads in that part of the town over power failure that has lasted for over 2 days, and they met in a clash with forces of law and order, and the police used tear gas to disperse the angry protesters before the arrival of officials or workers of the electricity production and distribution company in order to solve the problems. Manjikan Gabriel has more.
Movement between Bepanda to Makepe Misoke in the Douala 5 subdivision was blocked early Thursday morning. The inhabitants of Bepanda are frustrated due to the lack of electric energy supply in their vicinity for more than 3 weeks. According to them, it is because the company in charge of supplying energy is to be blamed for them being in darkness.
Since I entered this quarter on that 18.
Since I arrived in this neighborhood last October 18, light went off. When it returns, it stays for 2 days.
And we get picking them for house.
Today na deuxième semaine.
It is the second week. Children are studying under precarious conditions with candles. It could burn the house.
It could sleep, bougie could burn house.
Because of the blockage of the roads, users had to take other roads as elements of the gendarme from the Bepanda office washed to ensure no destruction was done. Even though one of the placards said, "We want light and not police brutality," few minutes later, the mobile intervention unit of the police force came into the scene and threw tear gas to disperse the population as they opened up the roads. The effect of the tear gas was felt by all. After the intervention of the mobile intervention unit, circulation was once again restored, and later, technicians of the energy supply company were spotted on ground with a transformer to re-establish electric energy for the inhabitants of Bepanda.
In a similar story, calm is here to return to Sangmilima in the Jan Lobo Division South region of the Republic of Cameroon after a protest which started Wednesday and continued today. The protest was provoked by the arrest of some 2 suspects, 2 individuals who are suspected to have killed a commercial motorbike rider, and the protest turned violence and continued today and tomorrow. The governor of the South region will be chairing a meeting in the Sangmilima in view of finding lasting solutions to that problem. Details with Innocent Aze.
Tension and fear gripped the population of Sangmalema in the Jah and Lobo division of the South region for the second day. Fighting and fire were reported by locals. A situation similar to that of Wednesday, despite efforts made by the administration and mixed security elements to restore calm. No death has been reported, but properties enormously damaged when the angry youth stormed the streets with clubs, vandalizing shops. This resulted from the fact that their friend, Hassan Belinga Jr., a commercial motorbike rider, was assassinated and his body mutilated by a group of hoodlums, with the corpse discovered 4 days after, shocking the family and friends. The deceased friends went on rampage when they learned security forces have arrested 2 suspected murderers, one in possession of the victim's telephone and another his motorbike. Their wish was to administer jungle justice on the suspects. A communique signed by Kolobut Aman David, Senior Divisional Officer for the Jah and Lobo Division, indicated that the incident is not an intercommunal clash, as many had reported.
And as I said earlier, a crisis meeting chaired by South Governor will take place tomorrow in Sangmelima in the Jah and Lobo division, and that meeting is going to bring together civil society leaders, administrative officials, and of course some influential persons in that part of the country in a bid to find a way out of the riot that erupted after the killing of a commercial motorbike rider whose corpse was found days later mutilated. And on to something else now. The Cameroon Renaissance Movement CRM political party of Professor Maurice Kamto said it is going to continue with its plan resistance against electoral hold-up, the deteriorating situation in the northwest and southwest regions of the country, and of course other political problems affecting Cameroon. And this is after the liberation of some of the officials of that party and the militants who were detained, and of course the allies who were detained in the nation's political capital Yaoundé and elsewhere in other incarceration centers across the country. For me, Armstrong Sander has more.
President Paul Biya's immediate challenger at the October 7, 2018 presidential election is among Cameroonians who think that the vague special status proposed for the Anglophone regions at the end of the major national dialogue in Yaoundé ends up unable to resolve the Anglophone crisis. Maurice Kamto highlights the fact that the content of the special status was not defined, thus leaving a government bent on decentralization to build content for a people requesting federalism. In a worsening security atmosphere, Maurice Kamto fears further that future elections are not effectively organized in the Anglophone regions, like was the case in 2018, thus giving the impressions of 2 separate states. The Cameroon Renaissance Movement Party national president says the Anglophone crisis cannot be resolved without the release, accorded amnesty and active participation of leaders like Sisiko Ayuktabe and co., as well as those in the diaspora. Despite his release alongside 101 CRM party supporters, allies and sympathizers on Saturday, October 5, 2019, Maurice Kamto says he will continue with the National Resistance Plan against electoral hold-up. The party thinks problems related to the electoral code in Cameroon should be resolved urgently before future elections. An idea more on the same lane with the recent declaration of Sultan Ibrahim Bombonjoya, head of the ruling CPDM party permanent delegation to the West region of Cameroon. The Cameroon Renaissance Movement political party says the recent release of some of its party leaders is not enough, as 206 of its party supporters and sympathizers are still being detained in detention centers across Cameroon. In a document released on Saturday, October 5, 2019, Maurice Kamto says the CRM political party will continue to push on until the last party supporter and sympathizer is released.
on the sidelines of the conference on the fight against HIV, AIDS, malaria and tuberculosis taking place in the French city of Lyon. The President of the Republic of Cameroon, Paul Biya, met with the President of France, Emmanuel Macron, in a tete-a-tete today, and both personalities discussed a wide range of issues, including cooperation ties between Cameroon and France, and of course Cameroon's contribution to the fight against malaria, tuberculosis, and of course HIV and AIDS. And they also discussed the just ended major national dialogue which took place in Yaoundé, and the President of the Republic of Cameroon, Paul Biya, spoke to the press shortly after his meeting with President Emmanuel Macron. Take a listen to the President of the Republic, Paul Biya.
I discussed with President Macron. We talked about the World Fund for the fight against tuberculosis, malaria and HIV. We also addressed some cooperation issues. He asked me how the major debate unfolded, and I gave him account of what happened. We also looked at the cooperation between the two countries. We have contributed at least 3 billion for the upcoming program, and Cameroon is one of the countries benefiting from the World Fund for the fight against AIDS, malaria and tuberculosis. We support that organization a lot. Malaria infection has dropped back home, but the population increase. Malaria infection has dropped back home, but with the population increase, we are determined to find the pandemic.
Il faut toujours s'adapter. Nous sommes décidés à combattre cette pandémie.
And inhabitants of the Douala 4 subdivision are looking up to the new divisional officer to solve the plethora of problems plaguing that municipality, notably problems of underdevelopment. And they spoke to a reporter in the Douala 4 municipality. They spoke to Mukube Robert, and Immaculate Fogwe compiled this report.
From north to south, east to west, big cities to the hinterlands, Cameroon is plagued by a handful of underdevelopment challenges awaiting solutions. Following the recent appointment of senior divisional officers and divisional officers by the head of state across the national territory, some Cameroonians have raised different expectations as regards the task ahead of their leaders. A case in point is the Douala 4 subdivision, with Dauda Issa taking over the mantle of Ekoa Baga Jean-Marc as the divisional officer of the area. These inhabitants raised issues of insecurity, sanitation, poor road network, and the deplorable state of some IDPs living in the area.
Insecurity is taking place in Bonaberi. Many gangs have really caused a trouble for population. We cannot sleep in peace now. Nearly every day they came and they attack many houses with knife, with gun. Really, we are afraid. That is why I would like to tell the new GO that the first thing that he has to do in Bonaberi is to assure the security of population.
The issue of a garbage disposal in Douala 4, and in essence we are requesting the DO of Douala 4 to take care of the stench that comes out from the abattoir, from the slaughtering house just near PSS Douala. In fact, this abattoir is giving a kind of pungent odor to the inhabitants of Bonandale area, and most particularly in the school PSS Douala. So we expect him maybe to come down and meet the authorities of abattoir to see to it that even if they are slaughtering cows there, they should take care of the disposers. They should take care of the odor.
We expect our new sub-divisional officer to help us with the deplorable state of the roads. It might not be in his competence, but I think he has or he knows the right buttons to press so that our buses can come early to school.
Dauda Issa is expected to handle all these challenges ahead of him so as to ensure effective development in his area of command.
About 12 persons, members of 4 families, have been rendered homeless in the Douala 3 municipality. The building harboring them was ravaged by wild flames. Last night, the house ravaged by flames is located in the Oyak neighborhood, Douala 3 subdivision, and the flames broke out at about 4:30 a.m. Last night and consumed just everything, and the occupants of the house narrowly escaped death, and some of them were burnt, about 5 of them. One incurred light burns, and the other persons, about 4 of them, a mother and 3 children, were seriously injured in that fire incident, and they were rushed to the Douala Military Hospital for medical attention. Spain and Cameroon are reinforcing cooperation ties, notably in the military domain as well as other domains. The 2 countries are reinforcing the fight against maritime piracy, notably in the Gulf of Guinea. And these are some of the issues highlighted by the Spanish ambassador to Cameroon during a diplomatic dinner offered to state officials, notably the governor of the Littoral region, Samuel Jedune Ivaha Dibois, his collaborators, and of course the government delegate to the Douala City Council, Dr. Fritz Tonetone, yesterday evening here in Douala. And the ambassador said the Cameroon government and of course the Spanish government are stepping up the fight against maritime piracy, which remains a major threat, a serious problem in the Gulf of Guinea. He also said that the Spanish government is helping Cameroon to attain a socio-political stability, notably with regards to the problems affecting the northwest and the southwest regions of the country. Take a listen to the Spanish ambassador to Cameroon.
It's more than 50 years that we have bilateral diplomatic relations with Cameroon. The relationship has have been always very good in different areas. So we have areas with more development and others that we could increase the relationship between Cameroon and Spain. I mentioned, for instance, that in the cultural field, we are very proud of the presence of Spain and of the importance of the Spanish language in Cameroon. We are, after English and French, the most important language in secondary school and as well in the university. So that helps quite a lot. And we count as well with another element of soft power, which help us to increase the relationship with Cameroon, and it's the football. You know that we have Samuel Eto'o, he played in Spain, he became popular in Barcelona, but we have counted as well with the presence of some other players in Spain, and sport and football especially is one of the most important elements in the bilateral relationship between Spain and Cameroon.
Spanish ambassador to Cameroon, Raymond Moreno, speaking there on other areas of cooperation between Cameroon and Spain. And I told you earlier that he also talked about reinforcement of cooperation or military cooperation between Cameroon and Spain in the fight against maritime insecurity in the Gulf of Guinea, and of course efforts to restore stability, or better still political stability, in Cameroon with regards to the Anglophone crisis. Take a listen to the Spanish ambassador to Cameroon.
The present agreement that Cameroon and some other countries in the Gulf of Guinea have with the European Union, it was Spain who pushed forward just to sign this kind of agreement to fight against the piracy in the Gulf of Guinea. It was during the Spanish presidency of 2010 when this agreement was reached. and we have established regularly the presence of 2 different vessels every year, one in the first half of the year and another in the second half of the year, to try to fight against piracy. And as well, taking profit for the presence of these vessels, the Spanish Navy and the Cameroonian Navy have different exercises together in order to fight against piracy. I mentioned, for instance, that in the last visit, in the present visit of the Spanish vessel liberated 2 different ships which were taken by pirates in the Gulf of Guinea and close to Nigeria. So we would like to try to finish with this problem in the Gulf of Guinea, and we are very much implicated in the struggle and in the fight against piracy in the Gulf of Guinea. For us, it's very important, as we are a friend of Cameroon and we have a very close relationships, political stability in one country is absolutely necessary. So you know much better than me that there are 2 important problems in Cameroon. One is the Anglophone crisis, and the other is one problem that Spain has suffered as well, different to a certain extent, because we don't have jihadist terrorism, but we suffer in the past terrorism. So we know what that means, and we are very confident in the possibility of solving this problem, especially with the Anglophone regions. It is a Cameroonian problem, so it's Cameroon which has to find a Cameroonian solution. But in any case, we will support the territorial integrity of Cameroon in order to solve this problem.
Despite efforts by the Ministry of Public Health and other health stakeholders in the Republic of Cameroon, eye infections or diseases still constitute a major threat to the health of citizens. And of course, it is the same situation in many other African countries and other parts of the world, and it is within this context that health stakeholders across the world have been stepping up the fight against infections and diseases affecting the eye. In Douala today, several health facilities organized free eye consultations in order to diagnose cases of eye problems, and the consultations were taking place within the context of the worldwide or the World Sight Day being commemorated today, and the 2019 edition of the World Sight Day was celebrated under the theme Vision First. And Dr. Alice Nchifo, an ophthalmologist at the Bepanda Eye Hospital, talked to us. This is an extract of what she said.
The campaigns we are carrying out, they are helping a lot, because many people have become aware of the fact that they need to check their eyes, aware of the importance of keeping their vision safe. I think that the awareness has done a great deal to reduce the burden of blindness in Cameroon. The number is not dropping per se, apart from the fact that most of the patients that we used to receive from the southwest region, because of the crisis, are unable to come. Even at that, the number has not really dropped that much. Creating the awareness, we keep building people's confidence, because one of the problems is lack of confidence with what we have. They are not aware that we have competent services, we have competent doctors that can treat the eye conditions in Cameroon. So we want to tell the public that we have doctors in Cameroon that can treat eyes. We have nurses that can diagnose and treat. We have, at our level, enough manpower, enough infrastructure, enough equipment that we can manage what we have.
And this is where we're going to end this edition of the news on Equinox Television. Thanks, ladies and gentlemen, for staying with us. Goodbye.